What's up, guys? It's Flash for tradingwithflash.com. I'm happy to say I have Patrick Wieland on the Sit Down with Flash. Patrick, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. Never better, never better. Just always living, baby, living.
That's it. That's it. Well, before we get into it, it's Patrick Wieland or Patrick Wieland. I say it wrong probably most of the time, but it's one or
No,
the
no,
other.
you said it right, man. Wieland, it's it's kind of like a funny story. My grandpa moved, well, my great grandpa moved here from Germany, and that was like during World War II, and obviously people didn't really like the Germans that much, so he changed his name from it was like it was like really German, like a Wieland. So he changed it to like a more American, just Wieland, and so he kind of screwed up my name forever. But it's kind of he had to do what he had to do back then.
That's it. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I didn't know that. So that's
Yeah.
that's a pretty good one. And you got Patrick, generic Irish name. You've no Irish heritage or anything.
No, like my actual grandma, my first grandma, she moved from England. She lived in Newcastle. I still have a lot of family over in England and stuff, so I think there's definitely some solid Irish background coming there. My family's Roman Catholic, so St. Patrick, the saints are always big. Like my dad's named after St. Christopher, so I don't know why. It's just a thing, I guess, a thing.
There's a big church here called St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Oh yeah, I've been to St. Patrick's.
You've been to Dublin, have you?
Yes, oh yeah, baby.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I love it. I actually we went out to the West Coast. We were filming a music video. As weird as that sounds, we were in a little tiny town in the middle of nowhere on the west coast of Ireland, and there was just a bunch of locals that spoke, I guess, Gaelic or whatever. The
Irish, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty wild because they really had no idea what these are like kids from like California that were really like hipster kids, and we were in this little tiny village or little town on the outskirts of nowhere, and it was pretty funny.
No, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll jump straight into it, Patrick. But I kind of know a little bit about your story. So I've been following you when you're on about 11,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I wasn't off from the very start, but I got in there. I don't know how long it took you to build up to 11, but I'm following you since about 11,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Now you're killing it. You're on like over 45,000, nearly there.
46, baby. Come on, get it right. Get it right.
Well, look, 46, so you're killing it.
Yeah.
And it jumped up a kind of level all of a sudden. And we're going to get into that because I was speaking to people during the week, and I was telling them I was having you on, and they obviously follow your channel as well. But we were talking about the difference of your trading, but I'm going to get into that later on with you. We won't just jump that just yet. But I kind of know like a little bit about you, but people who kind of are just watching it now and don't know anything about you, kind of fill us in. Like, obviously I know you're a camera and editing guy, but you go ahead, tell me your tale. What did you do before trading?
Yeah, so I come from a lot of money. My family's very, 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 very rich. I'm just kidding. Honestly, it's funny because I come from very humble beginnings. My dad, he has a construction company. We never grew up poor. Like we weren't starving, but we definitely weren't like uber rich. Nobody in my family owns any type of stock, or people never talked about the stock market. So when I tell people in my family now, oh, I trade stocks, they're just like, they're so confused on how that even works. So they don't understand it, but they definitely enjoy just kind of watching the YouTube videos. My dad actually called me today and was like, said he saw the New York City video. I was like, wow, he's like, you should be a motivational speaker. I'm like, yeah, maybe one day. But yeah, I just kind of grew up in a place. So Orlando, Florida is like the hot spot for wakeboarding kind of action sports. It's always hot. There's a lot of lakes and stuff. And I grew up in like just the right place at the right time when the internet was really kind of exploding. Video was king. This was before Instagram, really before Facebook even took off. We were filming videos back in the day for like TV and stuff. And yeah, just kind of took off from there, man. And the whole social media thing really just kind of revolutionized everything because it just gave me a platform to basically do whatever I want. And, at the end of the day, you're basically your own boss. If you want to, depending on how much work you want to put into it, I mean, you can basically just do as much as you want or as little as you want. And I think people can kind of see that just in my work ethic with my YouTube channel. I try to be consistent. I try to put out quality content. And, it's always been the big thing. So luckily for me, I do have that video. I was a videographer before I was a YouTube trader, I guess you want to call me, or whatever. But you know, somebody asked me the other day. They said, you know, what's your end goal? You know, do you want to be a millionaire trader? And it's funny because I don't actually enjoy trading as much as I enjoy just the whole kind of community. Like we had that meetup in New York. There was like 20 guys there. We were all just sitting around talking, having fun, and that was way more rewarding than any, like, you know, this morning taking a trade on CNAT. I was like, oh, you know, there's just no really reward from trading. You know, it's just kind of like it is what it is. I think you get numb to it after a while as well. You start making money and then it's just like, money, you know. But when you start building those connections with people and meeting people, that's like the real reward, you know, helping somebody. Or not even so much that I tell people, like, I'm not an expert by any means, but I think I've been places that a lot of people that are starting out trading have been. You know, they're battling the same thing that maybe I was battling 6 months ago. So I think they can relate to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you say that, like, I think it's very hard to come across an expert in this environment. Don't get me wrong, there is guys out there who do it. But like myself, far from an expert, 100% far from, and I'd never claim to be. But I think if you know a little bit more than the guy asking you the question, well, then you're valid, and then you're helping someone, which that's what I like about it too, is kind of helping people that when I'm just remembering back when I was struggling. So when I was struggling, it's like, yeah, you pick the brain of people, you kind of want to get close to these people to learn from them, and once somebody can teach you something, you'll always be grateful for that. And I love if I can help somebody, like give them advice and they learn something. I love that, like that.
Yeah.
That like you said, that's really rewarding thing in this environment that we're in. Because it's a tricky fucking environment. Like it takes ages to become profitable. There's so much in it, and people think it's like, oh, easy starting out, and I thought that too. But we'll get into all that later on. But it's one of those things. It's like a mountain, and if you can pull somebody up the mountain with you, it's always better than being on your own.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, for me, the best thing is to have as many people below me. That way, when I'm standing on their heads, you know, I get more support. When I'm climbing the mountain, you know, when the shit hits the fan, I want to be the first one out the door, baby. But, you know, I think the funny thing with me is I'm just a straight shooter. Like, I just call it like I see it. Like, you know, obviously my opinion gets me in trouble sometimes, but really, when it comes down to it, I think a lot of people just need that sometimes. Like, I met a guy in New York City. He pulled me aside, and he's like, you know, Patrick, I'm having trouble becoming profitable. You know, my red days are bigger than my green days, and, you know, I have trouble cutting my losers. And he told me all the answers. He already knew what he was doing wrong. And he, you know, after he told me all that, he looked at me and goes, you know, what do I need to change? And I said, I mean, to be honest with you, you just told me everything that you're doing wrong. I don't need to tell you anything. You just need to have the confidence that, you know, you understand that you're making these issues, and you just got to make the little tweaks, and you got to change, you know. It's not so simple as just, you know, obviously if you're losing money every day, just doing the opposite of that, because it doesn't work like that. But you really just got to kind of fine tune and figure out, you know, what you're doing wrong. And I think that's kind of where I can come in and help somebody. You know, I can't give you the answers. I can't make you a millionaire overnight. I don't have a roadmap to millionaire status, but, you know, I can basically be a person you can bounce some ideas off. And, you know, I think that's why people appreciate it.
No, 100%. And kind of what made you kind of get into the stock market? So you were filming, you were quite successful in that area. Like I know you were saying before, like you got big contracts and stuff like that. So you were like you said, you got to travel a lot with it as well. You got to travel all and shoot cool shit. So, and then you enjoyed your job. But what made you kind of transition into it?
Well, so obviously, I still do a lot of filming and stuff. Like tomorrow, I'm actually going out with some of the guys from Red Bull, and we're doing some filming down Miami for Art Basel and all that. So I'm very active still filming. You know, I really don't. I guess I don't talk about it enough online, just because it's kind of like this fine line where people they get mad if I talk about stuff other than day trading. It's starting to get a little bit better. People are I think they're starting to open up more to like the New York City vlog. I felt, it was definitely. There was some stuff in it that wasn't day trading oriented, but people I felt like they liked it. So, it's always kind of figuring out that fine line of what I can talk about, what I can't talk about. But for me, what I try to tell people, there are a lot of people on YouTube that claim to be experts, that claim to be millionaires, all this stuff. And it's like, I came into this already with I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I already had a successful career. I was already working in a career in an industry where I was very competitive. I had a lot of opportunities. I've got movies on iTunes. I did a lot of stuff already. And coming into the whole day trading stuff on YouTube, I really never thought about it. I never thought I'd be kind of where I am now. When I first started, it was just like a fun thing where I thought, you know, for me, I was always interested. I'm like, could I build, you know, a following in an industry that I have no expertise in? You know, could I make a YouTube channel talking about day trading when I really don't know what I'm talking about, you know, when I first started out? And I mean, it's funny to say. I mean, I think I'm doing it, you know. I think I'm 2 years later or a year and a half later, I'm doing it.
And like, did you start your channel as soon as you started trading, like to kind of document your journey, or did you kind of wait till you knew about what you're talking about, then you started?
No. So when I first started trading, I was just like, I kind of got into trading because, you know, when I was a filmer, there's a lot of downtime. Like there'd be, you know, I might be gone for a week filming. I'd come home and then I'd be home for like 2 weeks. So there was a lot of downtime. And then, you know, I found Robinhood, and I was like, oh, this is like when Robinhood first came out. I literally signed up for the wait list, and I got on Robinhood, and I started buying, you know, stocks. And, you know, it was cool at the beginning because I could just buy a few shares of a company and make a couple little dollars, and it was like this fun thing. And then, you know, obviously you get addicted. I started watching the YouTube videos, watching guys like Ross Cameron, and being like, oh wow, this guy's making this was back in the day when he was making $500 in a day, and I thought it was impressive, you know, to see someone making $500 trading like he was doing. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I just started kind of watching more and more because I wanted to learn. And I was watching these videos and watching these guys. I'm like, man, these guys, they're terrible. Like, they have really bad videos. They're just really bad on camera. They have no personalities. They're very dry. So I thought, you know, hey, I'll make a channel. I'll document my journey. It'll keep me in line as well. I think that was the cool thing about it as well. It's kind of like, I knew if I made videos of trading, and if I did stupid stuff, if I overtraded, if I forced trades, if I did, you know, bad trades, there was really no one to answer to if I was alone in my room. But if I had this whole like YouTube channel of like, you know, people really kind of keeping me in line, so that was kind of the thing. Now I'm like, it almost plays against me sometimes because I'll take a trade, I'll be like, oh, I don't know, I gotta get out of it because if it doesn't work out, I'm look like an idiot on YouTube, and there's gonna be a lot of bad comments. You know, it's funny. The haters, man, they'll keep you in line, keeping you in line.
They do. They come, I tell you, they come in their droves. Like, I think it's Grant Cardone always says it, like, you haven't made it until you, like, start getting haters. And I'm not saying you made it when you got haters, but it's nice. It's better to have some reaction than no reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I used to wrestle professionally.
I put a quote on the other day on Twitter. Put a quote saying like,
if you know, a man with no character has no enemies. So
yeah,
you know,
that's it. Like when I used to like wrestle professionally, it was a case of we went out for a reaction, depending on our role, good or bad. If we got a reaction, well, that's all we could ask for. And if you didn't get one, you weren't doing your job right. But yeah, the haters, they come in this industry, or they come in any industry. You put yourself out there. Like I did a Tim Sykes video. Like I don't personally like his style or what he's about. Like that's just my view on it. And the video went absolutely crazy. Like for my small channel, it got 10,000 views in like a month or 2 months, whatever it was. And I got absolutely slated for it. Like there's like 300 dislikes on it, and like 70 likes. Now it like obviously the channel size is different between myself and yourself, but it's just weird. Like you put your opinion out there, and there's people just gun bashing. Like, but that happens, and I don't mind it. I honestly don't mind it. Like I don't do it deliberately to get reactions. I speak the truth and call it the way I see it, and that's it. That's what my channel is about. Like trying to help people not shortcut, but skip the bullshit and get straight to it. I think that's valuable. But kind of going back to the trading thing, like how long on your journey? Like you're trading probably 2.5 years now, whatever the case is, but how long did it take you to become profitable? Because this is a question I always get asked, and I think everybody is so different. But what's your story there in terms of like turning it to green consistently?
Yeah, I mean, so when I first started, like I wasn't serious about it, obviously, and you know, there was times where I wasn't really even worried about it. You know, I had a couple $1,000s with my Robinhood account, and I would just kind of mess around. And then it wasn't honestly until like the end of 2017 when I was like, okay, I'm going to get serious about this. And and start to trade. And then, you know, I started trading the more volatile stocks, the pennies, you know. I hate to call them penny stocks, but I guess like the low float stuff, you know. So that was like kind of like when I really started to trade. And yeah, I mean, that's always like the biggest question I guess people ask, you know, like how long do you take it to get profitable? And it's I don't look back on it and like there's no moment where I was like, wow, that was, you know, after 1.3 years and 7 days, I finally became profitable. It was more of just like, this has always just been a battle, you know. I think the other day somebody gave me some crap and they were like, oh, why do you keep doing the same problems, or why do you keep making the same mistakes? And it's just like, in the moment, you know, when you're taking a trade, when you jump into a trade, it's like you're not really thinking about like, oh, is this a mistake or not? You know, you're not like, I don't know, you're just not like thinking about it. And then a second after you took the trade, obviously you're like, oh, well, that was a bad entry, you idiot. What are you doing? You know, like there's always like, there's two people in your brain. You got the person who's like, ooh, I'm going to hockey. And then once you hockey and once you're in, you got the other guy who's like, why did you do that? You're an idiot. You knew you shouldn't have done that. And it's like, oh, yeah, that was bad. So it's just always like a battle, you know?
It is. And like it's completely different. Like paper trading is completely different than live trading. Like I was making huge money like when I was paper trading, and I was like, this is fucking easy. Like as soon as I started live trading, was I in for a beating? I didn't realize.
No, the emotion's way different.
There punching me every day, and it was winning. But like that's going back to your point. If it's like when you're live, when you're in that seat, you kind of, the screen can trick you to see what you want to see, and then it's your conscience kicks in and says, "Oh no, you fucked up there," because it's emotional. It's a kind of a different rush. So it's easy to point out trades looking at a paper or looking at a screen that's a screenshot or something. But in the live action, it's just different. It's very hard to explain.
I can sit here all day long and run a chat room and sit here and
tell people, oh, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. I mean, I do it, you know, we do the live streams on YouTube, and there's so many times where there's a stock that's moving or running, and I'm like, oh, this is probably a good buy, you know, if it dips down here to $3, and then if it dips to $3, it'll probably get a pushback to high of day, and then bam, it happens, and people are like, how do you see the future? I'm like, it's not about seeing the future, it's just like, I think when you like step back, when you like step out of the like trading shoes and you just step back and you're like just looking at the chart, it's way easier to identify that. But when you're like in that mindset of like, ooh, I'm looking for my trade, instead, you know, even though you know that the stock's gonna pull back to $3 to that support area or whatever, you're just like, no, I'm gonna jump in here because I don't want to miss it, and that emotion just takes over, and then you're like, and then a minute later you're like, wow, it did exactly what I wanted to do anyway, you know, so.
And that's it. Like kind of I was explaining to somebody the other day. It's like trading is kind of about seeing what other people are seeing. So the stock doesn't move just because it's making a funny shaped pattern. The stock moves because it's making that pattern, and other day traders are seeing it, and they're all reacting in around the same idea. So that's how you kind of do it in stocks. Now, you're not always right and you're not always wrong, so it does vary, but it's kind of like it's going off the ideas mostly that you're trying to see what other people are seeing as well. But it's, as I said, when you're in the hot seat, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Going back to when I was following you, obviously you're a great, confident, fantastic trader. There's no one that can take that away from you. But there came a time that was noticeably different. Like overnight, you just were like a different man. There was no bullshit, no messing. It was like your gains were huge, the size of your positions were huge, and it was just overnight you just changed. Talk me through that.
It's funny you say it like that though, because but if you actually go back and you like look at the videos, like it's funny because you'll see like there is a progression there, you know, like there was a time, like I think that there was a week where I like just was like doing everything wrong, and I was really like down on myself, and you can see in the videos just my demeanor, you know, I was like really just kind of negative about everything. I told people, you know, I would wake up in the morning and I'd get on the computer, and all I was thinking about was like, okay, here, let's do it. Let's get it over with. Let's take another red day, you know, and I would basically go into every trading day like that. So you can, I think there's if you literally go back, I have to go back and kind of look at the actual point, but there's like a solid like week where I was just like really negative. And then, you know, I just told myself, it's like, I gotta stop. Like I can't I can't ever be profitable. I can't ever make any money if all I'm thinking about is how much money I'm going to lose, or, you know, just being negative about it. Because like today, like the trade today I took, you know, if you're looking at it like when I was in it, when I was trading it, looking at it, it's like if all I'm thinking about is I'm going to lose money. And in the past, I would have gotten out for a loss there. You know, I was down at one point $700. And, you know, the trade was open, but I was in the red $700 because the stock was just kind of squeezing higher. But I was like confident that I didn't know, but I was confident that I was thinking, you know, the stock was going to finally just start to roll off. And that's exactly what it did. And it's funny because right before the bell, I was thinking, you know, I was looking at the chart and I was like, okay, this is going to pull back to $2. It's going to bounce off 2. And then I think we're going to get stuck. And then we're going to crash. And it did exactly that. So I think this just comes with experience and then having that confidence in yourself. And that was like the biggest mover for me, you know, just that introspection. I spent a lot of time, like there was that week period when I was just like really negative, and I have like a porch. I sit on the porch sometimes and just look out at the sunset or whatever out like I live on like a high rise, so it's funny. But I'll just sit out there and just kind of like try to meditate or think about, you know, what I'm doing wrong. And yeah, it's funny because like in hindsight, you can look at every trade you make, and you can tell yourself, you know, what I did wrong on every single trade. But then, you know, it's hindsight. So it's always easy to be like, oh, that was a bad trade because I did this. But, you know, if the trade would have went differently, if it would have worked out, would you have told yourself, oh, that was a good trade? So I think that's one of the big issues too, is, you know, you can sabotage yourself if you reward yourself too many times for, you know, getting lucky or taking a bad trade but making profit. And there was just a moment, honestly, like, where I just stopped caring about the comments, stopped caring about, you know, the self-doubt of just not believing that I could do it. And then I think that was when it really kind of changed. You know, even now, like there's days, you know, I still have red days. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I still have trouble. I still do stupid stuff. I mean, I've been very open about that. I think that's just part of it. You know, that's what I told someone too, like, I'm an emotional person. I guess, you know, as funny as that sounds, like I'm an emotional person in the sense that I'm very passionate about what I do. And then I also, you know, I let my emotions get to me. There's not many bridges that I've crossed that are still standing, I guess I should say. It's funny because everybody that I've basically become enemies with, like, I'm an enemy. Like there's no turning back after somebody's on my shit list. So it's funny. Like that's this kind of person I am. Like you're either gonna love me or you're gonna hate me. And it's, you know, I think that's kind of, it's funny because if you look at my subscriber count, like, yeah, I have 46,000 subscribers, but I've lost over 10,000 subscribers over the last year and a half. So it's like, clearly people, you know, they have strong feelings either against me or for me, and that's just kind of how it goes. But I'd rather it be that way. Honestly, I'd rather it be where people like can just have an opinion, because the worst person in the world is someone who doesn't have an opinion, or someone who's just like, they're just like vanilla about everything, you know? Like you either pick chocolate or you either pick vanilla. Like you can't just be in the middle, you know? You can't get a swirl always.
No, I fully agree. But kind of going back to the difference of your trading, so you're saying it was just like, I'm a big believer in obviously positivity, law of attraction, a nice good mindset, and I think anybody who goes out and takes a risk on their own like this will be a positive person. But so you're kind of saying mindset is super important. And
yeah, no, I think your mind's, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the whole idea of how to make money in the market it's very simple. You're either buying high and you're selling low. I mean, you're either buying low and selling high, or, you know, you're selling high and buying low if you're short. And I mean, no matter what strategy you use, no matter what technical indicators you have, at the end of the day, you remove everything that's on the chart. You remove all your little lines and all that. It's still the same. If you traded a stock like me and we both made money on it, and we removed all of our indicators, we would still have very similar, you know, entries and exits, because it's just how it works, you know, at the end of the day. And I think a lot of people just get so wrapped up, and I do that as well. You know, in the past, I would be like, I'd watch Ross's videos and be like, oh, I gotta beat Ross. I gotta trade better than Ross. And I would always like put that pressure on myself, because, you know, it's easy on YouTube to kind of like have that pressure where you're like just constantly being like, oh wow, you know, Ross made $10,000 a day and I only made $100. You know, what am I doing wrong here? And it's just, there was a time I remember watching Ross when he would make $100 a day. And it's just, you got to remember that. Everyone just kind of goes through a process.
And that's it. You kind of have to stop looking at what... That took me a while, like exactly like what you're saying, to stop looking at people and say, well, how are they making that much and I'm either making so little or losing. I think you just have to go at your own pace. Stop comparing, like, stop looking at... look at these people to aspire to soon be there, but stop comparing yourself in terms of... the growth in terms of your account and how much you're banking, because it'll just put you in a bad place.
Yeah, and you gotta, and there's always like different variables. It's all smoke and mirrors. Everybody has little gimmicks. Like Ross has a major chat room. He's got guys following into every single trade. It's I'm not gonna like get into all that, but like everybody's got a little stick. Everybody who's like got something going on. Everyone's got some little thing about them that gives them an edge. And, you got to always remember that it's just, you can't compare yourself to other people, especially in trading. I think that's the cool thing about trading, though. I tell people is like, you can trade any strategy you want. You can have the weirdest strategy in the world, but if it makes money, like, who can hate on it? People always, they leave comments in my videos like, you have no strategy. Oh, why would you? Oh, that was stupid. It's just like, that's really like, that's your comment. Okay. Like, have fun with that.
Yeah, like, look, I don't. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If you're making money and you're happy doing it, so be it. Like, you keep doing what you're doing. Another thing I did kind of notice about your difference. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but about how, like, to me it was. Now I'm probably maybe it wasn't to you, but to me watching it was like instant, the difference between you. Like, you went from a great trader to a next level above that. But then what I was noticing is your sizes of your trades became drastically a lot bigger.
Yeah, so I switched accounts as well. So I was trading with SureTrader in the past, and then I stepped up and opened a SpeedTrader account. So obviously now, with SpeedTrader, with SureTrader, the big issue with a lot of people with a small account is you're going to be limited on margin. So anything under $3, you can't get margin on. And then anything over $3 that's moving, you can't get margin on. So you're screwed. Now, if you get a real broker, you get a USA broker over $25,000. If you get a broker like that and you start to trade, you're not going to be limited like that. And you're not going to have, these little rules and things that are going to like limit you to make money. And that's obviously, it makes it much easier to be able to take size. And one thing that also is I learned, not so much learn, but one thing I noticed is, I can grab, 5-10 cents easily. That's like all day long. Let me just sit here and scalp 10 cents, But the problem is trying to trade with small size and get, 50 cents, $1 per trade. That's going to be much harder than me taking larger size, getting 10 cents. That's like Ross. Ross is the king of getting major, 10, 20,000 shares, getting 5 cents, boom, he just made more money than every person in his chat room. But it's all relative, right? Like, it's all relative in that sense. So, just because you buy larger size shares, doesn't mean you're going to get rich. It just means that you don't need that big of a move, and it's much easier to start dumping, when you're up 5 cents.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. It's like, you look for a smaller return now because you have more size. Granted, it's a lot harder to stay in a position with some of the size that you're taking. It's riskier. It raises the heart a little bit more. But at the same time, is you're not in danger. Now, bear with me a second to explain this. You're not in danger as such because for as long, because you're not exposed to that market, because you're not waiting around for the dollar. You're kind of in and out for your 10 or 15 cents. Right, it's going to be a dangerous move anyway, but you're hoping to get in and get out. It's like it's kind of a quick kind of robbery what you're doing there.
Yeah, if you can grab those, those big washouts, you can buy the dip and you can find like a good support level to bounce off of. It's going to be much safer to buy the dip with 10,000 shares than, let's say, buy the breakout with 1,000 shares where you're hoping that if a stock goes above $4, it's going to run another 50, 60 cents so you can make $600 in profit. Where if I'm trading with 10,000 shares off the dip buy, and all I really need is just a quick bounce back. Because we think about it, every stock kind of just always moves in these waves, Even a stock is crashing down, there's going to be a point where it's going to bounce and give you an opportunity for 20, 30, 40 cents pretty quickly. and it's going to be much easier and safer to be able to, jump in on these bounces off the support levels instead of buying with smaller size, at resistance breaks. And I mean, you can watch my trades for sure, and you can definitely see that progression where it just went from like, sitting there trying to get 50, 60 cents to now like, screw it, I'm just going to take a larger size and I'm going to grab 10 cents and walk away.
And you obviously find that works a lot better for you.
Yeah, I mean, personally, like I said, I think you're just limiting, like you said, you're limiting the risk, because obviously it's just always going to be harder to be right when it comes, because you got to be really right in the sense that you think the stock's going to go up 50, 60 cents. You're trading a $3 stock, that's a big move. Whereas, a 10-cent bounce, we get some pretty volatile stocks. 10 cents is like in a blink of an eye.
Yes, like true. And I suppose the case is, like, I notice as well that you average down a lot. Like, what's the idea there for any beginners kind of watching?
I haven't been averaging down lately, honestly. If you I don't know, I haven't really been trading much lately, but I haven't been averaging down lately. I guess this morning I kind of got some.
On the
but
short,
is
that your $1,300 day today? Was that today?
Yeah. So this morning, but also there's definitely setups too. Like there's gonna be setups where if I get into a trade, I know. Okay, like this morning, I was thinking, I took the first position because I was thinking, okay, maybe this thing starts to crash, and at least I got something on it. But at least I know I got more buying power. That if my goal really was to short up at the I think it was the 230, 240 area. That was my goal. I talked about it before the trade, and then kind of started to look like it might not want to get up there. So I took a little bit smaller size, and then once it started to bounce higher, then I'm like, okay, now I can start to size in. And it's also relative too. People always like give me shit. They're like, "Oh, you got 7,000 shares," but it's like, it's a $2 stock. That's a $14,000 trade. I mean, that's obviously the risk is there. You're still risking $14,000, but it's not like, oh my god, I got 10,000 shares of Facebook. It's a lot different. And I don't think people think about that because they just see the size. They're just like, wow, you got 7,000 shares, but it's like, yeah, but it's a $2 stock. Come on, like, let's not get too too excited.
Sure, like obviously about the price of the trade is obviously adequate in terms of the value, but at the end of the day, it's still a large amount of shares. If this decides to go right or wrong, it's a big position in a sense. I mean, you can be going up to crazy sizes like 20, 25,000 shares, which I think is just absolutely insane. But there is people out there who does it. Like, fuck that. I've never ever taken a position that size. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like today on CNET, I would have taken more size. It just was really hard to get filled. I mean, it just comes. Other day I took a trade. I didn't even record it. It's funny. People always give me shit. Like they're like, there's definitely days where I might just take a trade that I don't record, and it's a process. Sometimes to make all the videos and all that. So, like the other day, there was a morning trade that bounced. The stock like just got clobbered, and it bounced like off $1, and I think I bought like 15,000 shares at $1. And it was just like it ripped to like $1.40, it's just one of those things. It's all relative. I kind of think about it like in that sense, obviously, because you got to think too is, so like the stock this morning, yeah, I'm shorting with 7,000 shares. It's at $2.30. It's only going to probably move on me. If it starts to squeeze, I might only get squeezed for 10 cents. Where, if I'm trading a $20 stock and I've got 1,000 shares, I'm going to get squeezed maybe 40, 50, 60 cents. So it's all, I don't know. I think about it way more in that mindset, like how the stock is moving. When I'm looking at the trade, I'm like, okay, we're getting 3 or 4 cent, maybe 10 cent moves here. So I'm risking really 10 cents. It's not like on the trade this morning, I'm not looking at it like, oh my God, I got 7,000 shares. And all of a sudden I'm worried the stock's going to start squeezing $1 on me because it's just not how it's naturally going to move,
Sure, and you've been trading a lot. You trade a lot of pre-market, I notice. Anyway, do you rather trade pre-market or what's the idea there?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. The big thing with me pre-market is I just feel like personally I'm able to kind of decipher the bullshit, a little bit easier. Like this morning with CNET, I just keep using that as an example because it's just what happened this morning. It's easy to talk about. But like that trade this morning, I saw the news. And I can like instantly, like I see that I usually wake up at 8. I usually wake up around 7. I'll sit on the computer until about 8. And then maybe by 8, I'll start taking some trades if there's something happening. But a lot of times we'll get these moves pre-market that are totally just major pumps. I made a video the other day talking about that where a lot of these stocks will get news that comes out and the stock will go up, 100% pre-market. But there's always like these little key things that you gotta, look for. Like, is it really that big of news? Like, why is the stock up 100%? What's really going on there? Is there a major resistance coming up? Like, is is the stock up 100% on only 100,000 shares traded? Is it easy to borrow short? There's like I'm going to do a video soon talking about this. Like, there's an actual like industry or business, world that people don't really understand, that basically, there's people out there that buy shares of these really low float companies, and their whole motive is to basically pump the price of these stocks so then they can actually loan those shares out to brokers and different places, and then they earn interest on them as they're loaned out for shorts. And you'll see, these stocks bouncing around, and if someone's short for a couple weeks, this company's making interest the whole entire time. And that's, if they're also probably dumping along the way because they bought at the low, and now they're pumping the price up and they're making money on the shorts the whole time. And it's a really profitable business because, they're buying at the bottom first off because they're smart like that, and then they're pumping the price. So, the entire time they're in the green, but they're making all the money on all the interest from the shorts, loaning out the shares.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. I noticed those.
They don't talk about it. Because the actual brokers, people think that the brokers like have shares as short, but that's really just not how it works. So it's the clearing firms. So every broker has a clearing firm. Like literally every broker, they have a clearing firm that they go through. So like with SpeedTrader, they're using two different clearing firms, and then like one of their clearing firms, let's say I want to get shares as short, my order is going to that clearing firm, and then the clearing firm basically is going, okay, yeah, we have 100,000 shares of CNAT from this guy over here. We're going to borrow those shares from to loan to this guy. And that's really what it comes down to. Because a lot of people are always like, oh, what broker has the most shorts? And it's not really about the broker. It's a lot more about the clearing firm that's clearing for them. But I'll get more into it later. It's like hard. It's kind of weird to explain. I don't think really anyone even thinks about that. I know it's funny. I went to New York City and I'm talking to all these guys. Like guys that have been in the game for 30 years, these Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange brokers, guys that are on the floor talking to them about stuff. And it's funny because these guys, the people on YouTube that are talking shit that like literally think that they're that think that they're like have any clue, like they have no clue. That's really what it comes down to. Like I laugh like now that I've like started, I'm trying to like literally get like an internship or something where I can go and like work with like a big firm or someone like on Wall Street for a couple weeks and learn as much as I can. The funny thing is like people are going to always be, kind of like hesitant about telling people stuff because obviously like, if the world really starts to find out the more the truth, it's going to be harder to kind of pull the wool over the sheep's eyes,
Okay. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird you say that. A few good points. Like I didn't know that, and I think if you really dive into it, like the stock market is a mindfuck, and I explain to people who's getting into it. It's like don't try to understand everything about it because you'll be driven crazy. Or you'll look, why did that happen? Why did this happen? Just focus on your trade that you're in, and kind of you can't control it, but you can try see what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean the crazy thing is like
everything is just crazy.
Every trade you're taking, like you just don't know what's really going on. Let's say you're buying a stock and it's getting pumped, it's going higher and higher. You don't know who's on the other side. There might be somebody who's trying to unload millions of shares. That's just everything's manipulated in that sense. Like when I was like watching these guys on the floor there's this guy, he was trying to buy 80,000 shares of CVS, and he's got like an algorithm running that basically, the algorithm is grabbing shares slowly, and the goal of the algorithm is to not increase the price of the stock over 3%. So as long as whatever the price is that day, as long as it's below 3%, the algorithm is buying. But as soon as the stock starts to go higher, over 3%, the algorithm stops. So it's very complex, and the retail traders are just, I think, are at the end of the day just always going to be very, handicapped because we're just not going to have all the information that the real brokers and the real players have that you just don't have access to.
Yeah, it's a different world of investing altogether. I think it's like there's one extreme to another. But kind of like, there's obviously the channel, and the reason why we do these interviews is to kind of help kind of beginners and let them in on a story and kind of bring them along a journey. Like, what advice do you have for beginners getting started in the stock market, whether it be pros and cons, or any advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best advice really for anyone who's getting into day trading is just to just try to learn as much as possible. I've seen people before that are like, oh, I shorted the stock, how do I cover? And like, you need to understand the mechanics. I tell people, execution is king. You need to understand how to be able to get in, how to get out. If something does happen, if something goes against you, like, how do you cut it off? How do you get out quickly? And you need to just practice that and really just focus on small size when you start. Just focus on not losing money, because at the end of the day, trading really is about capital preservation. So you're really just trying to protect the money that you have. You're not trying to lose money. It's not so much about always making money. It's more so about just not losing money, because at the end of the day, if you look at my journey, you can see the progress that I've made. But I never would have gotten to where I am now if I would have just quit at the beginning. And a lot of people, that's what happens. That's why a lot of day traders fail, is because I tell people too, is the stock market, day trading, this whole world of trading, it's the only industry, the only thing in the world that you can basically go online, you can make an account, you can put money into it and start trading against the best in the world. Like, you can't go and sign up to play in the NBA. If you think you're good at basketball, you can't just go and become a pro NBA player, but you can put $100,000 into an account and basically go and trade against Warren Buffett. At the end of the day, like, that's really what it comes down to. Like,
Yeah, like, that conversation came up as well during the week, and it's Cameron Foose said it really well, I think. He says the market's about surviving, and if you can survive through your learning curve, then you will be successful. And I think he's dead right saying that, because if you go in all guns blazing and you fucking blow up your account, well, you're not going any further because you're fucked. But learn to survive while you're learning, whether you're just breaking even, losing a very small amount, or you're gaining 1 or 2%. Until you learn, then you're ready. And I think, like you just said, it really is in a kind of a point that keeps bringing up, but it's a point that I think has the most sense to it. It is a survival game initially at the start.
Yeah, and I think obviously I tell people, like, every day that you're trading, every day you stay alive, every day that you don't blow up your account is a day that, you're going to be a better day trader the next day, the next day, the next day. And like, there's just a point where it's just you're going to find your groove, but if you don't put in the effort, you don't put in the time, you have to be obsessed about it, I guess, is what it comes down to. You really got to obsess. I hate the question people always ask me, like, how do I start? How do I start to trade? And I'm like, well, I mean, you start. Like, you just got to start doing it, and you got to start learning. Like, you can't sit here, and tell me that you want to start a day trade, and you want to learn. Okay, then do it. Don't just ask questions on YouTube. Like, start to really learn.
Yeah, it is. It is about action. It is about action. Did you do any education, or who did you learn from, or you just kind of taught yourself on YouTube?
Yeah, so it's funny. So when I first started, I was just kind of watching all the YouTube videos. I definitely, old Ross, watching Ross's videos. It's funny. I don't want to take like credit for any of that stuff, but there was a serious point in time where it just seemed like YouTube trading stuff just like started to explode. Like, I feel like when I first got into it, when I started doing my channel and stuff, it really wasn't that big. I mean, even like Ricky Gutierrez had like 30,000 followers. Like, it wasn't that big of a thing, and we were all kind of growing. And then it was like everybody started a channel. Like, there was a lot of people starting channels, people starting chat rooms. Like, that's like the thing now, where you start a channel, you get 1,000 subscribers, then you start like a chat room, and it's just like, it's just such a weird progression. How do you go from basically being a total beginner to all of a sudden, a year later, you have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube now, and now you have a chat room and you're selling, chat room subscriptions. So it's like this it's a very funny progression, and it definitely seems like in the last 6 months it's exploded in the sense that there's a lot more YouTube trading type of content than ever before.
Yeah, like the Warrior was the biggest.
Yeah.
Now Ricky's the biggest. Like, he absolutely blew up. Like, he's like a nuclear bomb going off. His channel exploded.
Yeah, he got he got really lucky too, because he had a couple videos that got onto. There's that Jubilee that did. They have like a huge following. He's got some other stuff, and then he also works like some other influencers and stuff. He's kind of like in that little group of some of those influencers that do like the whole like drop shipping and classes and courses and all that kind of stuff, which is, I'm not gonna hate him for the hustle, but there's definitely some interesting stuff going on there. And I think he's like the kind of person, he's got his personality, and then he's a younger person, so he kind of gets that whole demographic where, I'm 30 years old now, so I'm definitely getting to the point now where, maybe little teeny boppers and 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids aren't too excited to watch my videos. So I think Ricky's definitely like the perfect YouTube demographic. I wish I was, his age again and starting a YouTube channel, because I'm not saying that I would be, way better, but I just feel like that's a good demographic to be in, that kind of 20 to 25 age rank.
Yeah, I wish I was 23 again, regardless. I turned 27 last
year. Yeah. I think everyone does, right?
Yeah, fuck that. And then my little boy, he was 1 the next day. So we had 2 birthdays last weekend. But I'm feeling the heat getting old, all right, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But going back to it, did you learn from somebody or?
So it's funny, I always get shit about this. So when I first started trading, I started doing whatever. I started getting more into like the low cap stuff, and I joined a chat room. And the chat room, I'm not gonna like put the names out there and stuff, but I was in this chat room.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Everyone kind of does. Everyone thinks that.
I actually did the demo for that one.
Yeah,
not a demo, like a trial.
I am like the person running the chat room.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, everyone thinks that, but it never was me. I wish it was. I wish I was making $100,000 a month running a chat room. That would be amazing.
But I think it's because you had that email in your channel. Is that right?
Yeah. So when I started my channel, it was Plan Trade Profit, which is funny because it's like another story as well. Because I started my channel just like I was like, oh, I'm gonna start this thing, and I was like, it'll be Plan Trade Profit, and then I started a website, just Plan Day Trade Profit, just kind of like to have a website for it. And then when I started talking, when I got in that chat room, I told the guy, I'm like, hey, I'm really good at marketing. I'm really good at like exposure and stuff. Let's work out a deal. I can help promote your chat room, and then you basically just give me a affiliate deal. And it worked out. I think there was a lot of value there. I think it helps people, gives them a structure, kind of gives them an idea of what to look for and stuff like that. But I kind of just outgrew it, personally. And then, I think the hard part is, I got to make sure anything that I promote or anything that I talk about on YouTube in terms of trading and stuff like that, I got to make sure what I'm talking about or what I'm using it's what I'm really using. So like when I talk about trade ideas, I use trade ideas. When I talk about Speed Trader, I'm using Speed Trader. So everything that I'm affiliated with, I'm using that stuff. And I was using it before I was affiliated with it. So if that makes sense, it's not just like I'm just trying to find anybody and everybody who can sign up a code. I get emails every single day from chat rooms, from different news sources and places that are like, hey, become our affiliate. Do this with us. Everybody wants me to promote them. And it's not that I'm like trying to promote everybody in anything. It's, really at the end of the day, because the funny thing is like, so when I started talking about the trade ideas, everybody would always ask me, what scanner do you use? What scanner do you use? That was always like the top question. And I was like, all right, screw it. Like, I really wasn't thinking about doing like any affiliate deals, but at that point I was like, if I'm going to promote trade ideas, if they're going to get, revenue, people going to their website because of my videos on YouTube, I might as well try to get a piece of the pie. And then also I told them, I was like, hey, if I'm going to promote you guys, I want to at least give the subscribers a better deal. So people that do sign up through my links, they're getting a discount on trade ideas. So there was a guy the other day, I was like, hey, thanks, man. I used your affiliate link and I saved $300 on trade ideas. And I'm like, hey, awesome. Like I make a little bit of money, people save money, trade ideas is happy, everybody's happy, like it's a win-win.
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, sorry, I keep going off, but in terms of learning, I learned a lot in terms of just overall, how to find stocks, kind of the idea of, where to buy, stuff like that with the chat room that I was in. Because it just had that structure where, I could kind of have like, I was in a chat room with 400 people where we could all kind of talk about stocks and have those ideas and stuff kind of bouncing around. I think I'm 100% like, I love the idea of a chat room. I love the idea of a community. But my only issue is like when you have a chat room that's just, blatantly just really, really bad. I think if there's a lot of free chat rooms out there, people have communities, I think those are great. Just have some place you can ask questions, you can bounce ideas around. Because at the end of the day, if you're in a chat room with 500 people who are all looking for stocks, that's going to make you much more, successful in a sense of finding those stocks. Because it's one thing to be one person, but to have 500 people all looking for stocks, there's nothing bad about that. But, the issue is when people are paying a lot of money to be in a chat room that really isn't giving them the value. So if you find a chat room that gives you value, you enjoy it, then, I'm all for it.
100%. Yeah, I know. I fully agree. I'm in a couple of different chat rooms, but usually the free ones are where it is kind of, it depending on what one. Like, I'm in a good few, but they all kind of add value in different ways. So that's where you just kind of went through YouTube and joined this chat room and then kind of learned your own way. Is that right?
Yeah, honestly, like, just trial and error, man. A lot of just grief, and like I said, there's definitely that moment where you just realize, you're like, man, at the end of the day, it's all the same idea. I'm now with Trade Ideas, I wake up in the morning, I see what stocks are gapping up pre-market. Okay, as soon as I see that, I look at the charts, I see kind of what the news is. If I see a stock that's like really up big, doesn't have really good news, then I'm like, okay, the wheels start turning, and that's kind of just my strategy. I just use that pre-market kind of gapper list idea. But it's funny because, there's days where, I might have missed out. Like, there's that CLVS stock that I've been trading the last couple of days. That stock this morning did the same thing. It pumped up and then gapped down. And it's just like, I missed out on it because I wasn't really paying attention. But, I think the best thing to do is just kind of always have an idea of what's going on overall, keeping an eye on. There's always going to be plays out there, and you just kind of, over time, you just start to learn you get a stride, I guess. You get that once. It's hard, like, an object in motion, is always going to stay in motion as long, as I guess it's how it goes, right? Objects in motion stay in motion. So it's like, the more momentum you have personally, the more, confidence and just your overall just learning ability, it makes it much easier. And that's one of the big things too with trading is if you just go and you lose a bunch of money and you're negative and you're emotional about it the entire time, you're not going to learn. But if you can take, small size, small wins, and build, it's like you're just going to be, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Sure, and kind of, you don't have yet, like, courses, chat rooms. You haven't released any of that yet.
No. I know, no chat rooms, no courses. It's all, it's funny because, like what she text message, but it's funny because, I definitely, I don't want to like say that, I've been against courses because I feel like, because a lot of the courses that are out there are just really shitty, the courses that are out there on the market are just straight up, like, a lot of them are like PowerPoints and just like really bad. The actual, like, maybe the substance is there, but the delivery is really bad, And I said a couple of months ago or whatever that if I ever did create a chat room, if I ever created a course, like, this course is going to be the, like, Hollywood fucking production, Michael Bay explosions, and, like, it's going to be, a visually, very stimulating course in that sense. And I definitely, if I did a course, I'd want to bring people in, like some real legends, bring people in, have them, cover some topics. And instead of just making a course where it's like, hey, here's my get rich scheme, it would be way more about, really kind of diving into that whole idea. And I think, maybe in the future that'll be one of those routes to go. But like I said, if I do a course, it's going to be the best course that's ever been made in the history of day trading. So that's the only way I can do it at this point, I guess, because I've talked so much shit about courses that at this point, if I do make a course, it has to be better than anybody else's course out there. And I think production-wise, I can do that no problem.
Yeah, like, I done like probably like 6 or 7 courses.
Yeah.
And some I like and some I don't, and I'm quite open and honest about the ones I like and the ones I don't like.
Yeah.
But the majority of them, I'm like surprised. Like, Ricky's Learn Plan Profit was the very first one I did, and I love that course. Like, that's one of the ones I mostly recommend for people, beginners getting into it. And I've done tons of courses, but that's one of my basic beginner favorite courses. Like, I've done Foos, Warrior, I've done a lot of big courses. And I don't know. I'm just a fan of courses and education.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I
that's the
hated
thing.
school.
There's always gonna be some, like, personally, like, I just never, even when I went to school, when I was in high school and all that, like, I just never read. I would never read books in terms of like studying or anything like that. Like, I would always just take the test.
Like, I fucking hated school.
Yeah.
And I hate all that shit, like college and all. But when it's something you have an interest in and you need to learn, because I did try to do it. Like, I tried to learn myself off YouTube and thought I was Billy Big Balls, like, and then losing everything. So I did have to revert back to education, and I did that. And that kind of saved me in a sense. So I just kept doing them to get better knowledge, try different styles. And like I said, like, I'm a real big believer now in education. Like, I think it's important to get educated in this if you are to succeed. Granted, people will do it on their own through YouTube, 100%. I'm not going to disagree with that. But personally, for me, I wasn't willing to wait fucking 3 months sifting through YouTube and listening to Tim Sykes talk for 6 hours and not give you an answer. Like, that's bollocks. So I
see the value there, no doubt.
But I think, like I said, a lot of the courses that are out there are just either they're dated, you know, they're older, people made them back in the day and they're just still kind of repping them, or they're just, you know, poorly made. I think if I, like I said, I can just bring a lot more value. Not so much, I think at the end of the day, you know, everyone's course is very similar in the sense of, like I said, you're buying low, you're selling high. But really it comes down to the overall delivery and, you know, how they're delivering that information. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know,
we'll see what the future holds.
Where it's gonna go from here. Honestly, I never thought that I would be where I am now. I never thought that I'd go to, you know, get paid to go to the New York Stock Exchange or all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we'll see in the future kind of where it all goes.
It's sick. And like, what is your 5-year plan?
Oh man, honestly, like,
where do you see yourself? Like, what do you see yourself doing? Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, I love the YouTube stuff because, like, you know, it was funny because when I'm not trying to like name drop or anything, but when I did that stuff with Will Smith, you know, talking to him, you know, he's been really big into YouTube lately. Like, he's like really like doing a lot of YouTube stuff, social media, and, you know, yeah, Will Smith, the movie actor.
you start again. You can't jump by that and then not.
Yeah, I didn't want to name drop, but we did some stuff with Will Smith down in Miami. So he's filming for his new movie. They're gonna be filming for the new Bad Boys movie, Bad Boys 3, in Miami.
Oh, shit.
So we did some cool stuff for his YouTube channel. Some stuff where he's like literally like kind of wakeboarding behind some boat stuff in Miami. So I got a couple days to kind of just hang out, and you know, we were just on a boat on a yacht for 2 days. So we had plenty of time to just sit around and talk to him and ask him questions. And he's a very deep person. He's you know, he's very educated. He spent a lot of time reading and learning about everything, you know, people in the world, because he's an actor that, you know, I think he's probably one of the best actors there is. And, you know, to be a good actor, you have to really, you know, dive into a role and understand that, you know, person, or just that whole idea of it. So, you know, talking to him about it, you know, because he's getting really big into YouTube right now, is he's a creative person, but, you know, everything that he's done in his life has always been, you know, he's an actor and he's a director, and there's people that are basically, you know, telling his story. So he's like, you know, with YouTube now, I can tell my own story. I can basically make the content that I've always wanted to make. I can go and jump out of a helicopter if I want to, and it's, you know, it's my thing. You know, there's nobody tell me what I can't say, what I can't do. And I think that's why I love YouTube so much, is I've always been a creator. I've always been somebody who's creating content. You can go on Vimeo and see videos from me, you know, 10 years ago making videos. So now with the YouTube channel, it's really like a cool thing where I can really just have my own voice and, you know, do basically whatever I want. If I want to make videos about Pokemon, well, I might be making a video about Pokemon. You never know, you know? That's what I love about it. So in 5 years, it's hard to say really where this is going to evolve to. And I think the biggest thing, like I said earlier, is the day trading is great. I love the day trading, but I don't see myself day trading forever. You know, I don't see myself being a professional day trader who just sits at home and day trades all day, because I'm not trying to like sound, I hate to like sound like I'm like stuck up and like I'm rich or anything like that, but like at the end of the day, money is only going to be so much. And I think right now my biggest thing is time. Like, I just don't have time, you know, like I've got plenty of money, but I just don't have time to do the things that I want to do, because it's, you know, there's other things I have to do and all that. So at the end of the day, you just got to kind of think about the time. And I also think about, like, if I'm sitting on the computer trading for 4 or 5 hours and I make $500, like, is that is the ROI there in terms of spending 5 hours if I can go make $500 doing something else? And I think that's, I don't know, we'll see kind of where it goes. I would love to do, more just kind of, I don't know, maybe kind of do some stuff on TV. You never know, stock market stuff, kind of talking. I'm passionate. I love the idea, just the overall idea of the stock market, talking about kind of companies and kind of diving and all that, talking, debating and all that. So you never know, maybe a little shout out to CNBC. You need a guest anchor.
Yeah, keep watching.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like hedge funds and stuff like that. I like all that.
Yeah, no, I love it all. I mean, I would see myself, working in that kind of sector, but it would be more like, I think, just overall, like kind of like execution in terms of like having an overall idea. But when the actual like somebody pressing buttons trading, like I can see myself like working with companies or whatever and being like, hey, like I see potential in this company. I see like kind of seeing what people can't see, or seeing that the edge. That's what I feel like I have that advantage over a lot of people, because I kind of work in that space, and that might be something I can go through in the future, like kind of like a consulting, kind of work as a consultant would be like a pretty cool opportunity. But yeah, we'll see.
Like, I suppose a lot of people, they want to know, and they like to see the kind of glam, rich kind of lifestyle of this. Now, some of the traders I've had on are just like normal guys. They still either have their jobs, or they're just kind of, they don't like the flash lavish lifestyle, and that's fine. So there's kind of like each to their own. Like,
yeah.
Are you more that kind of flash person? Like, give me some of you, like, I know you have a boat.
Yeah,
like, I know this.
Yeah.
I know you.
I'm like, it's funny
like
because
these purchases, so
yeah.
kind of give them a taste of like kind of the little lifestyle, little quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm like a flashy person. Like, I would literally wear black shirts and like black tennis.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm not like, I don't buy like designer clothes or any of that kind of bullshit. Like, I don't own a Rolex or anything like that. But like, I'll spend $1,000 to go, to the Keys for the weekend and like just sit in the Keys. Like, there's like, I'm big into like spending money for experiences. Like me and my girlfriend, I like this. I sound like an idiot right now, but like, I'll go out and it's like, spending $500 on like some insane sushi dinner. Like, that doesn't faze me. If I call my friends, I'm like, hey, we're going for sushi tonight, let's do it. We're going out. We're gonna go out, and they know like, hey, Patrick's probably gonna pay for everything just because that's the way I am. Like, like it's not that I'm trying to show off. It's not trying to be flashy. Like, it's just like I enjoy spending money to have experiences. Like, I want to make money so that I can say fuck you to anybody and everybody that in terms of like, what I can and can't do. Like, if I want to go and fucking buy a Lamborghini, I'll go buy a Lamborghini. But like, personally, I just don't need a Lamborghini right now, which, I wouldn't mind having one, but I just don't need one right now.
Yeah, that's called fuck you money.
Yeah. I got plenty of fuck you money, like there's just I can do whatever I want whenever I want, basically is what it comes down to. And I work with a lot of companies that, I think they all kind of value that as well, because they just know that when they work with me, when they deal with me, they're like, Patrick's he's gonna tell us, if we fuck up. And that's just kind of what it goes down to, and I go toe to toe. I go toe to toe with like full grown. I guess I'm kind of like a full grown man now, but like when I was younger, like there's always like this stigma, when you're younger, people don't respect you because they're like, oh, you're just a kid, you don't know what you're talking about. And there's been times where, I go head to head with somebody who thinks that they have an idea that, claims to be an expert in whatever field they work in, and I just call them out, and I'm like, no, just shut up, like don't talk anymore. And I'm one of those people too that like if I get into an argument or anything, like I have to like destroy that person. Like I can't just like stop it. There's got to be a point where I just see defeat. I need to see it in their eyes where it's just like, all right, I have destroyed him, and now he's my bitch. And that's just kind of like how I've always been in terms of business and relationships.
Sure, when I used to live in Canada, I traveled to Canada a few years ago, and I stayed there for a year and a half. But you were actually, just from speaking to you, remind me of a very close friend over there. Just from speaking to you, you have some of the same traits, and you kind of go on like him a little bit, which is cool. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but it kind of, just speaking to you, remind me of him.
Yeah, it's like I tell people, like, you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me. And that's just how I'd rather be. Like, I know people that are like fake, I know people that like, everybody loves them, but it's like, they don't really love them. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I like that person, but they don't really have any feelings for that person. But like, there's people out there that fucking hate me, and I love it. And it's like, I go to bed at night. I sleep better at night knowing that there's people out there that are also just sitting there going, fucking Patrick Wieland, that asshole. You know, like they want to take me down, but they just can't. And it's just, it's a good feeling, you know, knowing that you can just do whatever you want. I wake up every morning and I do exactly what I want to do every single day. And that's been like that for the last 10 years. You know, I love what I do. The YouTube channel has been amazing. All the people, all the support. It's really like humbling, like going to New York City, sitting down, and like people just coming up to me and like, Patrick, you know, I've watched your videos, you're a legend. It's like, man, like I tell people, like I am not a legend. I'm just a normal person who's, you know, trying to make a little bit of money. You know, there's no doubt about it. Like the YouTube, like there's money to be made on YouTube. Like I've been very open about that. I've showed my YouTube statements. Like I've been, since the beginning, I've been clear, you know, I'm all about helping people and all that. But at the end of the day, if I can make, you know, $100,000 a month from YouTube, hey, I mean, that's a win-win. You know, I'm still going to give content out. I'm still going to help people. But at the end of the day, like, the goal is to make more money.
That's it, bro. Well, look, Patrick, it was lovely to have you on. And I really appreciate you jumping on the Sit Down with Flash. And I'm sure
where'd the Flash come from? Is that from your wrestling?
It was,
nice,
actually,
yeah. I could, and when you talked about the wrestling, I was like, I literally was like, oh, he must. That's where the Flash came from. Okay.
That's funny. It was, but not a lot of people know that. But
I'm smart like that, man. I'm smart like that.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna just shoot this intro out and then I'll stop.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
So 106. I'll just say 105. So yeah, Patrick, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on here, giving us your time, giving some of the beginners your knowledge, kind of digging into your lifestyle a little bit. It was a pleasure having you on. You're an entertaining man, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me on, and everybody out there, if you want to see more, you know where to go. Talk to you later.
That's it, guys. I'm going to put a link for Patrick's YouTube channel in the description below. So if you want to go have a look.
Guess what the price of Guess what the price of CNET is right now?
What price is it?
$1.92. Come on. Get at me. Get on my level. All right.
What did you short?
I shorted it this morning at 2:30, and everybody thought I was an idiot.
Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, guys, I'll put Patrick's link in the description below if you want to go check out his YouTube. Once again, guys, God bless.